Hello guys, am I audible to you now? So guys who are watching me on Facebook, on YouTube, please do confirm through the chat window if you can hear me properly. And how many people are joining us first time through the YouTube and through the Facebook? Can you confirm through the chat window? Okay, thank you for the confirmation if you can hear me properly. So guys, let's welcome to Mr. Hari Krishnan about the today webinar on building mobile application using Xamarin Form and the C Sharp. Please do welcome to Hari Krishnan over the .NETX YouTube channel and the Facebook page.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, Rohan, you are joining first time. Thank you for joining us. And guys, here if you are joining us first time, please do subscribe to .NETX YouTube channel so that you will get the information about such session in future also. Even if you are looking for the recording of this session, this recording will available on the YouTube channel as well as on the Facebook page. From there, you can watch it later on. Thank you, Vinod, if you are joining us first time. Rohan also. So let's get started with the agenda of the today's session is I'm just going to hand over the session to Mr. Hari Krishnan. Yeah, Hari Krishnan, now we can start.
Sure. Fine. Let me share my entire screen. All right. Fine. So guys, can you please confirm that if I'm audible? Can someone please confirm that in the chat window that I'm audible without any issues?
Yeah, Hari Krishnan, you can go ahead. You can hear us
Yeah.
properly.
Great. So fine. So with that, let me just jump into the session with no delays. All right. So fine. Um, Let me just come here. All right, guys. So today's session is all about building mobile apps with Xamarin Forms and C Sharp. So myself, I'm Hari Krishnan. I'm basically a technical lead. I'm having some 5+ years of experience in Xamarin Forms and overall experience of about 6.5 years now. And I'm basically a Microsoft certified trainer and a CSM as well. I do speak on various events about the Microsoft technologies, predominantly the Xamarin one across various communities. So today in this session, we're gonna talk about the how we can build mobile apps with Xamarin Forms and C Sharp. So thank you for having me here, and especially to the team of .NET Tricks. And the session for the day is all about what is .NET and mobile app frameworks, what is Xamarin is all about, and we're going to see about React Native versus Flutter versus Xamarin, and app development with Xamarin Forms, and we're going to see in detail about what is Xamarin Forms, what it offers, and the advantages of that, and along with that, a bit of demo of how it is, how we can program in Xamarin Forms, how easy it is to do it. So talking about mobile apps frameworks, so everything nowadays in world has become mobile. So without a mobile app, it is almost like situation is now it is not easy to get a large reach for your mobile or your business without a mobile applications. So to talk about the mobile app frameworks, it's earlier it used to be on the native part where you'll develop applications for targeting one applications across Android, Windows, and iPhones for using Objective C and Swift. So that gives you high performances targeting the native platforms and targeting one specific set of audiences. And then the second generation of mobile application frameworks comes with hybrid development, where you get the native UX with almost a good performances targeting multiple platforms on unified code base. And then comes this third generation, which is a cross-platform native development. So there are a few quite cross-platform frameworks like Xamarin, React, and Flutter, which offers this, and it gives you native performances again with just single code base for both UIs and the backend as well, and taking advantage of all the platform features and giving you the best performance and things. And we're gonna see in this entire episode about one of the cross-platform technology, which is Xamarin, so which is on .NET. So what is .NET? So it's basically a framework. It's a software framework developed by Microsoft that runs primarily on Microsoft Windows. It includes large class libraries called framework class libraries and provides language interoperability across several programming languages. So it's free. It's both cross-platform and it's an open source developer platform for building many different types of applications. With .NET, you can perform multiple languages, you can target editors, and you have a lot of libraries for building web, mobile, gaming applications, and your IoT applications. Right from it's basically an end-to-end solutions and one-stop purchase for everything that you need in case of having a development or a business to be targeting across all the platforms and all the audiences. So that's what .NET offers you. And talking about Xamarin, so Xamarin is basically an awesome thing which helps you target mobile with with all the knowledge that you have in .NET. And all you need to know is just .NET and C Sharp and nothing else. You can just get started with .NET. And one awesome thing is that it's an open source .NET platform, so that allows you to build a native uh, applications across various platforms like Android, iOS, Windows, and even a lot of other applications like Windows Forms and Xamarin Mac applications as well. So it lets you build truly native apps, and that's what we are going to see in this entire session. So talking about Xamarin's family, what you get out of Xamarin is you get a native specific development only for Android, where where you can develop native Android applications targeting for Android phones, Wears, and Android TVs using C Sharp. So you'll get all the advantages of C Sharp as well as the native APIs, and you'll get access to everything that you have on the native as well. Similarly, for iOS, targeting iOS specific development with the help of C Sharp. So that's one thing, and you can also target Xamarin Mac as well. So to have applications developed for iPhone, WatchOS, and tvOS, and anything. And then comes the Xamarin Forms approach. The Xamarin Forms approach is something which helps you write one code base and one UI to have your applications targeting multiple platforms. So where the former two is specific to Android, iOS, and Xamarin Forms gives you even more larger audience like Android, iOS, and Windows, and even a few other technologies nowadays. So what's special about Xamarin Forms is it's typically we call it like it's a complete mobile solution. So what it offers is it just offers one language. You're going to develop in one language, a very big tool set, and you will get access to all the native APIs with on-path performances to native in a single framework. And your UI is shared, so it's drastically about code sharing and reducing your efforts, and that's all about Xamarin. So and more than that, you get everything that you need. It's just one-stop purchase for all that you need. In one-stop purchase in the sense, right from the source integration to your building, your testing, your monitoring, and everything can be done using various tools that is offered in Xamarin Forms. Even for distribution, you You can use the App Center for internal distribution of your apps and get it tested and get the crash codes and crash reports and do iterations of that. So starting from scratch to distribution and testing, it's all possible. So that's why we call it it's a complete mobile solution. And so how does it architecture? So yes, we have talked about Xamarin Forms. We said it targets multiple platforms, all fine. So how it actually how it is architectured is what we have to understand. So basically, it runs on Mono. So the Xamarin Forms does everything for you. Xamarin frameworks. So the Xamarin Android and Xamarin iOS runs on Mono, whereas for Xamarin Forms, uh, it's not actually cross compilations as we see in the second generation. The Xamarin does its own compilation and optimizations to have things converted from your C# to native libraries, and that's why you get 100% on par native performances, as well as you get access to all the native APIs as well, and that's how things are architectured. And to see how it is actually obtained. In iOS, it does ahead of time compilations to produce the ARM library for App Store. So all the C# and .NET codes are ahead of time compiled and then runs natively. So with that compilation process, we're actually getting the on-par native performances. And Android, of course, it takes the advantage of the JIT on Android devices to have the compiled code APK in parallel with the IL. So talking about Flutter and the other native, other cross-platform technologies. So React Native versus Flutter versus Xamarin. So there are various other cross-platforms just like Xamarin as well. So we'll see the three important, frameworks that is available in the market. So any framework will have its own advantages and disadvantages. We're going to discuss about these three now. So let's take Flutter. So Flutter is the latest one. So it's a cross-platform mobile application development from Google. Uh, Started in 2017. It's a very young framework. So similar to Xamarin Forms, it is developed in Dart language. So the advantage of Flutter is it's a complete development ecosystem. So it's highly customizable and reliable, and you have hard reload features, and of course similar to Xamarin, it is open source, and you will have all the tools and pretty much everything that needed for the end-to-end development, and it's picking up very fast nowadays. And the disadvantages that we could state for Flutter is the app size a bit larger, so Flutter's so that brings in some restrictions for the users to be forced to have less number of libraries and use compressed images, and animations can be has to be limited. And the native APIs, Flutter does not actually provide 100% access to the native APIs, so you might have to be relied on third-party libraries for a few other things, and that's something about Flutter. So talking about React Native, so React Native was something which was released in 2015, and it's by Facebook. And so the development here, it has almost ready-made components for everything. Here we can even write platform-specific codes here, and it enables users to use JavaScript and React along with the native platform capabilities to build the mobile apps, and that's pretty much about React. And of course, it is highly reliable. And talking about the disadvantages, the native navigation here in React is not seamless. So it's when comparable to the other two platforms, it's not seamless, and the UIs here are a bit complex. So the animations and transitions here are not as smooth as it is in the other platforms. So talking about Xamarin Forms, so Xamarin Forms, as you said, it was founded in 2011 and latest, taken over by Microsoft in 2016. So here, talking about this performs on top of Mono, so which is highly performant, and in the same way, like Flutter provides the complete development ecosystem, and all you get here when using is since it is built on top of C Sharp and .NET, you get all the goodness of the .NET and also the access to 100% native APIs, which gives you seamless user experience in terms of development. And best of all, it's also open source and free. So uh, here the app size could be a little bit larger, and um, in few cases, if you are going for applications like gaming applications, you may have to write in more platform specific codes. So that's all about here. So these are the things that three famous cross-platform technologies nowadays to look into that. And in the entire session, we're going to see about what Xamarin Forms offers, and this is the list of customers that are already available for Xamarin Forms. And there are, you can see that a lot of companies which are famous are there. And what's best thing about Xamarin Forms is it adds more devices, emerging platforms. It is also supported. It also supports the data and intelligence that to keep it to the order of the days. And so fine. So as I said, we're going to predominantly focus on the Xamarin Forms part and why Xamarin Forms is preferred. So first of all, it runs on .NET, and it has a shared C Sharp backend. And if you're someone who's from the C Sharp backend and from the .NET backend, and you wanted to develop a mobile apps, and you don't have to do anything extra. So all you have to do is just install Xamarin and get started with Xamarin with all the .NET knowledge that you have. That's all about Xamarin Forms, and that's what you are required to have to get started with Xamarin Forms. So what it does is, it has the shared C Sharp backend, and on top of that, a shared UI which is on the XAML or C Sharp, whichever way is preferred, and on top of that, targeting multiple platforms. So it gives access to a lot of around 40 plus pages, layouts, and views and cells, and it has a lot of features and advantages like in terms of appearances, in terms of customizations, in terms of performance improvements, and access to native features and all. So it targets various range of devices across all platforms and takes in all the native advantages to deliver native UI and native performances applications. At the end of the day, what you see is actually the native applications. The user who using the application might not be aware that it is developed in Xamarin Forms, whereas you get the advantages of code sharing and the easy development, which reduces the efforts of targeting, having different IDEs, different environments, different uh, teams for different platforms. That's all the advantages that Xamarin brings in. So as I said, the appearances in Xamarin Forms is all based on XAML, so it's an extensible application markup language. The visual appearances can be designed in XAML. It can also be done in C Sharp as well. And the behavior and your business logic for the applications is on the code behind C Sharp. So talking about the UI rendering process, and yes, we have said Xamarin is targeting multiple platforms. It reduces the efforts of the developers and to know how it is actually done. And let's understand how in the background Xamarin performs, is how these um, native performances and native applications are achieved in Xamarin Forms. So what Xamarin does is Xamarin is basically a wrapper of all the controls that we have in the native. So whenever we create a button in Xamarin Forms, let's take the example which I've stated here in this slide. Whenever we create a button in Xamarin Forms, what Xamarin Forms framework does is the middle part here. In turn, Xamarin has a renderer package which is done, which is coded redefinedly, that it will in turn trigger the native control and render it for you in the UI. And that's how whenever you create a UI in Xamarin Forms, the Xamarin framework you know renders its corresponding native applications and or native views and render it for you in the UI in the runtime. All this is done using the ahead of time compilation IOs, as I said. So all these are pre-coded. The mechanisms is as such, any UIs that you create in Xamarin Forms, even the custom UI, it is mapped to a corresponding native UI using the renderer that are defined in Xamarin Forms. And with that advantage, you can actually even create your own custom views. You can customize the rendering process of any view that is available in Xamarin Forms. So I mean, the customization here is to the extent of you can even render a label to a button instead in iOS if you need. To that extent, Xamarin Forms allows you to customize the UIs. Right. We will see much more in detail when we start our applications. And the idea is that we require to start this Xamarin Forms development is just Visual Studio. All you need is Visual Studio installed with Xamarin Forms. That's it. We don't have to do anything else. You don't have to go in and have a lot of other tools or languages to be installed in. If you're basically a C# guy or a .NET guy who knows how to handle Visual Studio, just install the Xamarin component into it and you're done. You're everything ready with starting with the Xamarin Forms development. So the SDKs for the development is Android has its own Android SDK, so which brings in you the Android support libraries and Android specific tools that you need for the development of Android, and of course in iOS the iOS SDK and Windows SDK for the UWP platforms. So development is actually how it is actually developed. That's what basically more important. In Mac, if you're developing using the Mac machines, all you need is Xamarin installed and it with Xcode configured and Visual Studio installed. Xamarin Studio is pretty much of the topic now. It's all about Visual Studio now. So all you need is now three installed on your applications, and you're very good to go with the development of Android and iOS. You cannot target Windows on Mac, so UWP is pretty much out of the topic nowadays. However, when you are developing with Windows, you can target the Android and UWP straight away without having to do anything with a Visual Studio and just Xamarin installed to it. And if you wanted to target, iOS as well with Windows, all you need to do is just pair your Mac laptop with the Visual Studio. I mean, with the Windows uh, laptop's Visual Studio, and you're done. So you can actually remote your desktop, simulator to the Windows, and you can see the output of iOS as well, and that's what I've shown here. So all you need to do is just connect it with iOS on the same network, and you can develop all the three platforms all together. So the advantages of Xamarin Forms, apart from having said everything else, these are primary advantages that I can talk about Xamarin Forms. The Xamarin Forms preview lets you know how the UI is actually rendered without having to run the applications on the runtime. So it gives you the quick visualization of how exactly the UI looks in the XAML. So you can customize the properties in the property panel. You can even see how it looks like on various devices, and that's what the Xamarin offers you. And there is also a special feature like iOS simulator remoting. As I said before, you don't have to have two missions. All you need to do for doing the iOS development is you need to pair your Mac to your Windows machines, and that's it. You can see your iOS simulator output in your Windows screen itself without having to uh, leaving your Visual Studio and go to the other devices. And this emulators are most fast, just like the native emulators, and you can take screenshots. You can rotate these emulators and see different views as well. And it is scalable and pressure sensitive, and can access multiple touches as well. And one other super cool thing is the profiler. It gives you the advantages of seeing the allocations and seeing how the time is like how the call tree is accessed, and it gives you the details about the memory when you're taking snapshots and more details. Uh, and this is one other cool feature that I love about Xamarin, and not just Xamarin, about the entire Visual Studio. So the Visual Studio gives you the advantages of the IntelliCode support. Intelligence is something which is there common, and this IntelliCode is something which which is there with a star, which you could notice for anything that you access on C Sharp and XAML, the mostly used properties are listed on top for the star. So that actually, lets you start the development without even having to know much knowledge about the platform. So if you are a fresher and few, as you said here, Ping are watching this for the first time, you're fresh here, you're jumping in to start Xamarin for the first time. With these features having in board, you don't have to worry too much about what it is actually all about. You don't have to, go yourself and explore in too much before you're starting. You can just like that come and drag and drop of control. You can see what are the predominantly used properties of that control. You can start coding right just like that, and it's always up to date, and that's something which is very even cool. You almost get the same day support for any updates that you get on Android and iOS. And also we're going to see a bit of XAML, what it is all about, and do a bit of coding in XAML. So XAML is basically, it's a extensible markup language uh, that helps you to define declarative UI, which is similar to XML, but it is just not that, and it's more than that. And what it offers is, it's great for MVVM. You could develop UI. You can, you can develop your UI separately, and you can have your business logic separately. And what it offers is it has various features, like as I said before, the Xamarin Preview, and it is highly toolable. Highly toolable in the sense, you have a hot reload where you don't have to build in your applications too much. There is a hot restart feature, which is in preview right now. So even on changes on multiple files, you don't have to rebuild your applications. And with Xamarin Forms, what you get is just this. All you write is the same code in XAML, and you can see that exact native codes are rendered on each platforms. In iOS, it is actually the native view. You could see that we have created a tab page here. These tabs are as it is as how it looks in iOS here. The tabs are on the bottom, as you can see here, and Android is on the top. You can see that the appearances are similar to native here, and UWP the typical way. And so with just single shared code of UI and code behind, you will get the exact native UI and performances, and that's what it offers. So without delaying too much, let's get started. Let's see how we can actually start building an applications. So I have my Visual Studio ready here. So all you have to do is just start a new instance of Visual Studio, create a new project. All you need to do is choose mobile here, which I have already done, and you could just select this mobile app Xamarin Forms framework and choose next. This UI is actually a little bit changed with the latest version of Xamarin Forms now. All you need to do is just choose the uh, path in which you are going to store and give some whatever name you want for your solutions, and you can just create. So here you can see that you will be having multiple options, like whether you wanted a master detail. These are built-in templates that in which you wanted your applications to be like. So you can create a master detail where you have a slide over like navigation view, where you can have your menu. You can have tabbed pages, which I just shown in the slide. And there is a new template called Shell where you can customize the navigations and the UIs of uh, your application, and a blank app to start with whatever you want. So in this, I have chosen the blank app, and if you click OK, you will be created with the applications. So I already have one created freshly here. So you will get these, uh, picture setup ready-made. You'll end up here launching here, and as I said, so this is the default view of how it looks like. So even we can see how it, you know, uh, this is the XAML previewer options which I was talking about. You can see without even having to do anything, without having to do launching or building anything. actually we can see how it looks like in the native platform, or like with the you know Xamarin Previewer feature, we can see for various devices as well. So once it is loads, we can see how it looks for various devices as well for both Android and iOS. This is all about Xamarin, Previewer, Xamarin Previewer. So I'm not writing anything now. I've just kept the Android as startup project, and I'm launching my simulate like emulator. So we'll see how the outcome look like, and then we'll go and write a few codes and try to customize it a little bit and see how coding can be done in Xamarin Forms. And then we can talk about how this is structured, what are the advantages that we have in here, and how easy it is to code. And I'll just show on whatever we have talked quickly about Xamarin Forms here. So in the meantime, let me show you. This is the project structure of Xamarin Forms. So you could see that there is a .NET Standard project here. So this is where all your logics resides. So all your UI codes and logics are all residing here, and these are just native projects where you just it is used to set up a startup project, or in certain cases where you need customizations, you might have to write platform specific codes here, which is very rare for a small applications. For an enterprise level applications, there are chances that you needed some native specific requirements where you can still come in and code here. So the app is ready. So we could see that it is all fine. So now I'm just customizing here. I've not stopped anything here. The application is still running. You can see the magic here. Now I'm saving this file here. You can see that the UI is re-rendered here. This is what we call it as hot reload. So this allows you to um, uh, develop your applications much more faster when it comes to Xamarin Forms. Any changes across the UI, the you know here it can be done, and it can be seen right there without having to do anything. Fine. So let me just run the exact same output in iOS as well, so that we can see. As I said before, for developing in iOS, all you need to do is, you need to first pair your Mac laptop here. I have my laptop ready configured here. You can add your Mac using the IP address or the Mac name. Just add it, and it will ask for your credentials, your Mac's credentials, and you can enter that, and that's it. You're all set to go. I'm already paired and have one connected. So you could see that those devices, whichever available near Mac, has listed over here. So all we need to do is just select any one of the device. So I have one already having here, so which is Pro. So wait, this is going to take some time. So let me just run it on Pro. So I'm running the same output here on the iOS simulator, and let's see how it looks like. So uh, apart from these, there are a few other advantages that we can talk about coding here. Xamarin also allows you to access certain platform-specific APIs, as I said before. It allows you to actually access the inbuilt native color, and you can even specify platform-specific um, what to say properties and customizations that if you would require to do so. So let me first do that. I'm deciding to have different colors for these labels across platform. So I'm using this on platform, so which allows you to write a color for individual platforms. So let's say we have this yellow here for Android, and for iOS, let it be um, light gray, and the default maybe we can have it as blue or light green. So I'm just saving it here, and you can see that. Sorry, you can see that no, the gray is applied here, and there's also certain specific platform specific features that we can take advantage of. Uh, so here with this, you can see that no, there are various options which are platform specific. So I'm taking in this page using the safe area of the ways, and I'm using that. You can see that if we are having some titles over here, it will be adjusted accordingly. So having some navigation pages, we could see that it has taken the advantage of you know um, the entire page here. Maybe we can have that. So that's how it looks like. Fine. So we'll run this code on the UWP and see how it looks like. The UWP first. So have not run any extra code here. I'm just rendering these things as it is, how it is, and how the default application looks like in Xamarin Forms. So then we'll go add few codes on top of this. We'll design some simple UI and see how easy it is to develop an application with Xamarin Forms. So we can see that now the colors is applied as is. So you can see that the hot reload is available here as well. So fine. So that's how we can build and run the default applications. And one thing you could see here is toolbox. So you can see that there are various controls available here in Xamarin Forms, which is default, which allows you to uh, just easily develop applications. All you need to do is just drag and drop your controls right from here to here, and you're good to go with. So let's just design a very simple, maybe a login view or a login page, and see how things looks like. So uh, so I'm having an entry which is placed as username. So with horizontal options as center, vertical options maybe center. And then again, drag and dropping another entry. You can also type in if you would require password. Sorry, and let this also be center. So by default, there is a stack layout here. The purpose of this stack layout is, it orders the elements one below the other, just like the stack panel which we have in Windows or WP if someone is familiar on that. So it arranges items one below the other. In case you need that to be, arranged horizontally, you can set the orientation here so that the items are arranged horizontally. Now, for this case, we need vertical, and the default orientation is vertical. So I'm not setting anything. So that's it. And let me just create one without drag and drop button with text me, and let it be on the center as well. All right. So now you can see that we have created a very simple Xamarin Forms. Sorry. And what I have done. All right. So you can see that there is two entries and one button loaded in the screen. So it should be loading shortly. So you can enter the username here, password here, and click the icons here. And maybe if required, I can set the so that it loads in the center. Fine. So we can even write actions for these buttons, and there are various UIs available. And let me just code that as well. So there is a click event for button using which you can actually just like that generate an event. You can see that the tool here, the Visual Studio tool, allows you so much to reduces your effort. It highlights your important properties, as I said here. What are the frequently uses properties for any UI that you're actually using? For entry, you could see that it is a different property, whichever is user, and you can see that for password, you can it we have actually missed it. And using this feature, you could see that how easy it is to code even for a fresher point of view. So let's navigate to here. So here in the um, button click, let's have some code like maybe here. So I'll show you how we can write codes and between UI and XAML, and you can have a mix of both. So let me have a label. Sorry, let me have a label here, and with that text as button is click, and by default this is set to this. I have controlled the visibility here, and by default this control is not visible. And let's say this control is hidden by default. So this label will not be shown by default. All we can do is there is we can add the name to this label. Let's say status label. All I'm doing is if I could access that name, I could access that UI, the code behind with the name which we have given in the XAML part, and I'm just checking here visible. Maybe I can control it, or else even I can simply do this. So I'm just toggling the visibility. So let's see how this works. All right, we can, if required, we can arrange this center as well. So we can see that we have written a very short program of how this can be functioned in, and all I'm going to do is I'll show exactly how we can do that with the code behind as well, so that everybody can be um, aware of. Even we can do the stuff using the C# as well. So let's go in. I'm just giving this stack layout alone name here, or else even we can do that itself in the code behind as well. And just removing all these. So let's just come here. We can straight away start writing the code here, or else even if required, instead of this, I don't want this XAML part alone. I'm basically someone who's a very pure C# guy. All you can still do is you can just remove the entire thing, and you can create a stack layout. There are various other layouts that you can use as well. You can use the grid, you can use the content view. There are various options available in Xamarin Forms, which is listed here. These are the controls, and these are the layouts that are available. Absolute layout lets you position your views. When you have a flex layout, it arranges the items automatically. And relative layouts, you can arrange your children's one after the other based on the relations among your children and among the parent as well. The content view holds in only one view. The frame, it gives you built-in padding and a border, outline border, and shadows, which helps you present your control in a very neat way. These are the layouts basically that are available. And regarding the controls, um, we have just seen only button and labels and entries. There are a lot others like box view, which enables you to show a block of areas as some colors. You can use that for showing it as borders or lines or horizontal and vertical lines as well. And there is activity indicator which helps you uh, show animations. Even we can use that here if required. Um, and there is carousel view, collection views. Collection views are basically lists, which is a successor of list view, which gives you more, performances and better options than list view. Maybe we can see that in the later episodes. And there are lots of other options like progress bar, search bar, sliders, which helps you, slide, and that slider can have values, and time picker, switch, and web view as well. So let's see how things can be done here. So first of all, I'm just creating a stack layout here. Maybe have this name, new stack layout. That's it. So this can be set as the content to our page. So our content page now has the stack layout. All we need to do is have three labels. So username equals new. Let's have a label with things set as horizontal options equals center, and sorry, this must be an entry equals username. So similarly, we can have another control which is password, and the same text here as password, and then a button with text as with me, and sorry, plus equals fine. So now all we need to do is um, so I'm not using this. So all we need to do is add these three controls as the children for stack layout. So stack layout dot children, sorry, dot add of user name. All right, that's it. So we have the C# version things built here, and it almost looks just the same. So this now we have develop a simple view using both C# as well as the XAML with Xamarin Form Studio. So this UI looks exactly just the same. Uh, this does not have the hot reload support, as uh, as this is on the C# part. So we can do any changes here, similar to what we have done. I can even do whatever logics we need. So that's pretty much all about Xamarin Forms, a simple demo. There are a lot of other things. There are a lot of features available in XAML. So I've just given the introduction of what a XAML and how it looks like. So maybe in the next set of sessions, we can see in detail about various other features of XAML. So there are a number of features like styles, resources, and themings, and various things, which are state groups, and there's an option to have an identical UI for both your Android and iOS, which is Visual Material, and lots of stuffs are there. Binding is there, how we can bind your applications, how we can craft your UI with MVVM approach with UI on the one side and your business logics and data residing on the other. So those are areas that can be explored later. So that's it about the simple introduction of uh, Xamarin Forms and a quick demo. And any queries, I think we can have the question sections. We have 10 more minutes so that we could see that if there are any questions, we can have it. So, any questions? All right, there is one question. So these days, small kids are also preparing apps as per lots of advertisements. Is there any prerequisites to be a mobile developer? And as I was talking, this Xamarin Forms development, all you need to know is just C Sharp. So that's the prerequisites. And apart from that, from the tooling perspective, all you need is just Visual Studio. So you don't have to need anything extra to have as a prerequisites. So that's what Xamarin offers you. Xamarin is completely free with Visual Studio, even in the community edition. So that's the prerequisites basically. And yeah, so someone has asked, can you just brief about the Mac system integration part? So yeah, sure. So all you need to do is so we should have for targeting iOS development, we must have the Mac available. So what's the advantage here is we don't have to have the Mac for actually writing the code. You can write your code in the Windows laptop itself, and you can see the output of the Mac even from the Windows laptop. All you need to do is um, you can have your Mac connected through a build agent. As I said here, maybe if I can show you on the screen, if I'm can you see my screen? So you could see that after setting up your project as start a project, there is an icon over here. So clicking on that, this is nothing but a pairing window for your Mac applications. All you need to do is, you have to inform your Windows Visual Studio that there is a Mac which is connected from where you can simulate your output of the simulator available. The this output which I shown here is actually a simulator running on a Mac devices. Okay, that is simulated over here. All you need to do is just write down your Mac address, and the prerequisite condition is the Mac machine and the Windows machine should be on the same LAN. So it should be on the same network. So if it is there, just enter the IP address or the name of the Mac, add it, and then all that. That's it. You can see that the list devices are listed here. I can choose and launch any applications right from here. And regarding the simulators, you can control that using the uh, options here. So as you could see here, you can simulate. If this option is enabled, you can actually see the simulator whichever is launched there in your iOS device in the Windows device also. That's how it helps your development easy. All you need is a Mac present somewhere within your network. That's it. You don't have to have it nearer. You don't need that to be um, required for you to code. You can just sit on your Windows device, write whatever you want, and you can see the output of all the three platforms or two platforms or whatever you're targeting. So I think that would be clear. Fine. So there is one other question. As per my understanding, code behind is more secure instead of XAML code for stack layout. So please correct me Am I understanding? I don't think so. The XAML and the code behinds are just the same. So what XAML does is, XAML have some inbuilt, uh, converter by default. Uh, in, the Xamarin framework does the conversion for you when you are using the Xamarin, um, forms. Uh, Whereas in the code behind it's all what we write it. So it's basically about what you are comfortable with. If you are someone who has experiences in Silverlight, Windows, WPF technologies, or WinRT technologies, you're very good to go with XAML. You're someone who's an ASP.NET developer and all, you'll be preferring XAML development. If you're someone who's typically a C sharp guy who doesn't know much about XAML, you can just go ahead and straight away write your code on the C sharp itself. XAML reduces the code and gives you flexibility, and you can see the UI a bit organized, and that's the idea here. And if I developed app for iOS using Xamarin iOS, will give approval for App Store? Yes, of course. Yes, you will be getting approvals for the apps in the App Store as well. I personally have done few applications in the App Store, which is purely developed in Xamarin iOS. It's all about whether you are following the standards, and that's it. Understand this thing. Be it Android, Xamarin Android development, or Xamarin iOS development. Um, all we do is at the end result which we get is the APK or the IPA files, and it doesn't matter, it doesn't differ. Just the language is C sharp, and Xamarin Forms does all the compilations for you, so it doesn't matter. You can do that. How much time it will take to learn small app with backend? You have actually learned it now. To be honest, you have actually learned it. If you had seen this, it's as easy as it is. Just 15 to 20 minutes of your time spent in, you're ready to do. If you have installed your Xamarin Forms, into your Visual Studio, you have already started your Xamarin Forms. If you just click on the launch, you have already launched your first app. All you need to do is do just a bit of codes then and there, and you're very good to go. How can we? Sorry, I missed the previous question. Code behind or XAML, which is simple to use. Of course, XAML, if you are get used to it. Otherwise, it will be if you are someone who is starting, yes, the code behind. And which database is used to for Xamarin? Xamarin is pretty much all about the UI development and things. Any database can be configurable. You can, if you are someone who's using. I have used it with this Azure with an on-premises databases. You can connect it with Azure. You can connect it with any databases that you want. All you're going to do is just pairing. And Xamarin by default is actually a platform or framework, and it didn't. I'm not sure about what is actually meaning. By default, Xamarin does not uses any databases, but it supports any typical databases that is available. May I know Xamarin supports which version of Visual Studio? Xamarin is available from Visual Studio 2015, 17, 2019, and all the versions you want. I would recommend it to use the latest versions of Visual Studio, which is 2019. You can get the advantage of all the uh, features available in Xamarin. Is it worth learning Xamarin for Android developers? And of course, it is worth learning because Xamarin or any technologies which is which gives you the advantage of having more versatility and more audience reach is definitely going to be worth. And learning Xamarin is definitely worth because C Sharp and .NET is a technology which is there from since 2002. So it is still there, and we have a very big roadmap coming up, and so the Xamarin is going to be big, I am sure, with the MUA version coming. So can you please brief what should we know in concepts and practical experiences for 6 months experience in Xamarin Forms and applying for 3+ year experience requirement for Xamarin Forms? It's all about understanding and coding according to the requirement, I would say. So for learning and exploring Xamarin Forms, of course, 6 months would be very much ample time to get yourself expertise. Whereas for it's not just about Xamarin. Any technology, I believe it's all about adapting to it and doing according to the needs. So Xamarin gives you everything preset. It's a complete mobile solution, as I said. Everything, including a very big, larger community as we do now, is available. So it's about getting expertise. So why getting GPU error when trying to run emulators? Um, I haven't uh, seen one, but maybe if you have your Hyper-V settings disabled, or if your system does not support any simulations, or in case if your system image is not installed, there are certain instances like that. However, on ideal scenarios, if you have everything set up clean, it shouldn't be the cases. This was case in Visual Studio 2015 and 17 for quite some time before, but now with 2019, everything is clean. It's just one click installation and everything is good now. And maybe you can reach out me for anything if you are facing. I'll be available on all the social media networks for sure. Example apps developed by Xamarin. There are lots of applications. There are lots of third-party vendors. There are companies like Syncfusion who have a number of products. There are companies like Telerik. Even there's a Xamarin version of Netflix available. So there are lots of apps developed using Xamarin Forms. Even I personally have developed an job portal application SI systems, which I work for, which is completely on Xamarin Forms for a company which is the most popular job vendors in Canada. So there are lots of applications. So any other questions? So may I know Xamarin supports Visual? Yeah, I think those are answered. So if I have missed anything, maybe sorry. I think Shailesh, you're in mute.
Sorry. Am I audible
All
to
right.
now?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
great. Sorry, I didn't notice that.
Okay. Sorry for that. I was muted.
All right.
So thank you, Hari Krishna, for this great session. The people like this session a lot.
That's
Now
great.
the
That's great.
people are interested to learn how to build the cross-platform mobile application using the .NET because we having so many people who actually are the curious to know how we can build the cross-platform mobile application using the .NET technology.
That's great.
Guys, we will announce the next session about the Xamarin. So the thing is here, actually, we are waiting for the .NET 5 release because with the .NET
Yes.
5, so many things are going to be changed. So we are expecting the .NET 5 release somewhere around 10th of November.
November.
So it is next month. Okay, so after the November, we will schedule a session. What are the new session? What are the new things are going to be introduced with the Xamarin Forms 5, so that you will get to know with the .NET 5 how we can build a cross-platform mobile application. And guys, here, if you like this session, please do share with your friend. And I request you to please do subscribe to .NETX YouTube channel so that you will get to know about such session information in future also.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hari Krishnan, for your wonderful session. I really appreciate your effort, your energy. It's
All
quite good.
right. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Thanks a lot. So for any questions other than this, if one you can contact me on any time in any social medias, I'll be free to help you. And thank you. Thanks a lot for this opportunity, Shailesh, and I really appreciate that. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Bye.